Hello everybody, and welcome back.
Boom.
So,
Hello. Hello.
Kelariis, yeah, do you and Vondal want to have a moment, or?
I mean, Vondal?
Well,
You're the one who offered to go on
It's
a
up to you
walk.
guys. If you
Yeah.
want to roleplay a moment, it just means I need to change which music track I pick.
Gotta get that
suppose-
ambient setting there.
Ambiance.
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 I suppose Vondal probably might try to start a conversation just as like a distraction.
Okay.
If nothing else.
Start your conversation then.
Speak.
Yeah. Question is how to.
Vondal invited her on the walk. She's still, you know,
Yeah.
Dealing with shit.
shit, TM.
Right, you know what? He really is just going to talk about something unrelated as a distraction, because he's just going to say, you know, as much as I sigh over how reckless you and Arya can get, it is somewhat amusing. And can be quite fun, I'll be honest.
Yeah?
Who are you, and what have you done with Vondal?
Right? Not you too, Vondal.
Oh god.
More screaming.
I know, right?
I know. He's just gonna go like you did have a point there. That, you know, moving on, you know, one thing in that mist that is not gonna be a problem anymore. Something that had I been alone I would have ignored. Even if I could have dealt with it.
I mean, you know by now I prefer to tackle problems when I can. Well, for the most part.
You certainly do.
But we also couldn't really leave anything in the mist if we could deal with it. At least not with what's been going on. So,
No, of course not. The thing is, this is been quite a few months, to say the least.
I think that's putting it a bit lightly, but yeah.
Yeah. But hey, we're getting closer, and you know what? We've got a job to do. And we could definitely do it.
Yeah, I think. Don't mean to sound conceited, but I think if anybody's gonna have a chance at it, I think it's us. With the way things have been going.
We've certainly been an effective team. So how are we feeling now? Any better?
About as good as I'm probably going to feel for a bit, but yes, thank you.
Might as well head back then.
Of course.
Okay. You head back to camp, by which time the sun is beginning to sort of crest over the horizon. And it's probably time moved on.
Boop.
Boop.
Almost.
We're so close.
Almost.
Okay, so
Is this a situation in which we can try and push ourselves just to get to the end of the day?
But it's 2 more tiles.
I know,
It's
two
not one more
tiles
time,
is a
it's
bit
two.
much.
I suppose.
you could. It would mean your horses are fatigued, but if you don't have to travel again tomorrow, then your horses can just rest for the full day tomorrow.
I don't want to
that might be
fatigue the
rough,
horses.
Okay.
you know.
Well, one of them isn't even real.
I don't want to fatigue the
Real to
horse.
me!
How dare you call it not real?
it's up to you guys.
I'm okay with traveling another day. We can sort of arrive at noon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, instead of arriving late.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Okay. Need one more check from you guys then?
I think it's my turn.
Yeah, I think it's your
Yeah.
turn.
Does nothing happen in the day?
Nothing happens at the day now.
Oh wow.
Oh!
Nice.
Cool.
Oh,
I'm never
shit.
gonna fail this wisdom save.
I know, we're never gonna
Touch
find
wood.
out.
Touch wood.
I'm never gonna find.
Touch wood. You're gonna jinx it.
No, I don't want to touch wood.
We want
That's it,
her to
you jinxed
fail
it.
it.
It's cursed. Why do we want her to fail it?
Because you want to find out what happens.
The fact that if he's immune to it, nobody knows this shit.
Oh.
Like, I'm immune to it too, but I think I'm the only one.
But you fail your wisdom saves like every Tuesday.
Yep. I do.
It's accurate though.
It's almost as if Arya isn't actually proficient in wisdom saves.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Neither am I, bitch.
Oh no, you're not, are you? No, because you're...
Just a flat plus
Oh
one.
no, what are you proficient in?
I'm proficient in charisma and constitution saves.
Sorry, I need a little
Oh, yeah.
soundbite of Helena saying bitch.
Yeah, someone isolate that sound.
Okay.
We'll look it up in the recording later, Luka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so I can have it forever.
Okay, so yeah, once again, nothing happens. I'll roll for the 2 tiles you have left.
Oh, lovely.
Nothing.
Wow.
Okay,
Yay.
so, with that,
That's a
let's...
In a
Oops.
place.
Thing in a place.
At a different time.
God
Oh,
damn it!
shit.
Thank you, Ferrous.
So, as you arrive in Simmandel,
Oh shit.
Oh. Ooh.
That's cool.
yes,
Wow.
you find a city. Well, it's a town, a very large town. Not quite a city, a large town. Basically, built on the banks and even in places over the top of the river. Yes. Yes. Set on the banks of the Moonshay River, Simmandel is a large elven trading town. Where as you enter through the canopy of the forest, like sort of breaks up as it reaches sort of like the edge of the river, and you see these they're reminiscent of the spires from Argentellarind, only nowhere near as tall, and these are completely organic. They seem to be some sort of tree that grows in the forest, but it seems to grow with almost like plate-like ridges, almost like a very, very large palm tree. And basically atop each of the ridges in the tree has been built a layer of like houses, just built onto the side around this tree. And some of these trees are gigantic, like they are maybe, I don't know, maybe 80 feet across in width. Like these are giant ancient trees. And they every single one of them has a naturally occurring spire built on top of it. And the moment you enter into the town, you can see that much like Silverbrook, this is a wild hunt town. And there, as you reach the banks of the river, you can see that there is a single bridge that spans the length of the river, and on the opposite bank you can see basically what is a wild hunt outpost in a similar style to the one that is in Silverbrook. As you arrive at around noon, so there's probably quite a crowd of people in the streets visiting the various merchant stalls. And there is generally a relaxed and friendly atmosphere, despite what seems to be a fairly heavy wild hunt presence. There seems to be almost there's a wild hunt guard perhaps on every street corner, if not every other.
Quite pretty here.
It's not quite as dim as in the picture. The picture is sort of like late evening appearance, so it'd be significantly brighter.
Right, so we're basically only here to sort of stop and then go further into the Druid Circle?
Yes.
So we should probably sort of try to find an inn to stay in for the day. Try to find some more rations.
Yeah.
Okay.
By find, I mean buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you don't see any inns or anything on this side of the river, so you decide to sort of cross over the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And as you cross the bridge, you see a building that looks very much like an inn or a tavern of some sort. And basically, as you walk towards it, you can see that on the side of it, there is a large sort of painted mural on one side. That basically it depicts a what can only be described as a large draconic form. Except it seems to be a dragon made almost entirely out of leaves. And it is resting upon a gigantic hoard. But its hoard, instead of being gold, is acorns and berries. And the tavern's name is the Autumn Wyvern.
It's my kind of dragon.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very V dragon.
Oh yeah, sorry. I don't know if I mentioned the leaves are like autumn leaves. They're like golden orange that the dragon is made of.
Pretty.
Yes. Well, it's also not a dragon; it's a wyvern. But yes, the autumn wyvern.
Rob.
Yes. You find the autumn wyvern.
Alright. Shall we book us some room?
Indeed.
Okay. As you enter the autumn wyvern, you step inside, and the tavern is. The moment you step inside, it is very cool in here, despite it being midday. Like almost to the point where it it doesn't feel like it's naturally cool, like when you step inside and it's cool. It almost feels like air conditioned cool. Obviously, none of you guys know what air conditioning is, but I'm explaining that to you as players.
Yep.
Yes, it almost feels like air conditioned as you step inside.
Interesting.
Fancy.
Got that magic up in this business.
Yes, you suspect that it may be magically done.
Air conditioning is magic.
Confirmed.
Confirm.
Well, it's probably the gnomes, isn't it?
Maybe.
It might be mechanical. Yes, you don't know. Your first instinct is to say magic.
I mean, considering we're in a druid settlement.
Well, it's close to the druid settlements. It's not necessarily a druid settlement.
What? If they can make a fucking elevator, they can make aircon.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like air conditioning is way more complicated than elevator.
Not really.
Listen,
I would agree, but
I mean, a mechanical air conditioning, yes, not a magical air conditioning, which is just, oh hey, I've got the ability to make this room colder.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
if
that's
you
what
can
I'm saying,
produce
I think-
cone of cold, you can make a room colder.
Ha ha ha.
I don't think that actually comes.
I think that would just kill everyone in the room.
Exactly.
anyway, let's
let's
book some rooms.
Yes.
Wow.
Unison.
As you approach basically the well, it's probably more a bar than a front desk actually. As you approach the bar, a half-elven woman is standing there, and she looks up and she seems to assess you quite intensely for a few moments. And she said, like as you approach, like as you're about to speak, she says, "Travelers, aren't you?" She nods, smiles, reaches under the bar, and hands you a folded note and says, "I think this is probably for you then."
What?
Okay, I open the note.
Okay. It is the note is addressed to the woman who is, well, presumably the woman who is standing at the bar. And it says, my colleagues have informed me that there will be travellers passing through. If you see them whilst I'm still here, please let them know where I will be. Signed, Archdruid Nerian.
Oh, cool.
Oh shit.
And yeah, basically the woman at the bar says, if you're wanting to find Archdruid Nerian, she'll probably be in the graveyard.
Perfectly normal
Right.
place.
Wow, okay.
I don't know what's wrong with that at all.
No.
Just seems a strange place to hang out in the middle of the day, but
Yeah.
Well, this is
Only slightly.
the person that we were trying to meet with,
yes.
Yeah.
and Archdruid Buck told us that she
She.
She said-
is she works with not works with, but is knowledgeable about the undead, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that what he told us? So it's not that weird.
Yeah, it's not that weird at all.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I wrote it down. That's the only reason I remembered.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fine.
I don't write shit down, Jayla. I did it at the start of the campaign, and at some point I just gave up.
I knew I wouldn't be able to keep
Literal
it up, so I
notebook filled
didn't
with
bother.
stuff.
Yeah, if you want to book rooms while you're here, the woman will gladly accept the booking of a room. But
How long are we staying here? Because if Archdruid Nerian is here, then
that's for you to decide. You can go and see Archdruid Nerian first if you want.
well, we can book one room, and if we need more, then
Yeah, we might as well book the room while we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
unless Archdruid Nerian already leads us to the Druid Circle.
Yeah. Well, that's what you've got to find out.
Okay, let's wait with booking the rooms.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I guess we're heading out to the graveyard.
Cool. You receive directions from the woman at the bar who tells you sort of where to go up at the other end of town. And yeah, you basically walk past a shrine to the free gods, and next to the shrine is a large graveyard. Very very sort of like nicely maintained. It's quite clearly been sculpted, and it's got like manicured hedges and trees. And you walk for maybe a minute or so into this graveyard before you see a figure who is kneeling in front of a gravestone. The figure is a wood elf with sort of almost sort of a messy black hair tied back, and she appears to basically be wearing a set of studded leather armor that appears to basically have no sleeves. And the legs of the leather armor go down to basically the knee and not any further. It seems to sort of be like a set of leather armor that's designed for mobility as much as it is for protection. She's also got no shoes on. And she is basically kneeling in front of the gravestone, and seems to be either deep in thought or prayer. You can't quite tell. The other thing that is distinct about her is she has two striped black markings basically under her eyes, which I would like all of you to make me probably a religion check.
Hey guys, look, it's something for me to fail at.
Oh, I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I mean, none of us rolled
Okay.
very
I did
well.
decently.
Vondal, you recognize these markings as something that is known as the Death Mask, which, despite not being as despite the sinister sounding name, it is actually not that sinister at all. It is it basically represents a vow that members of clerical and druidic orders receive when they are sort of caretakers for the dead, sort of thing. Like if somebody has the death mask, they are very often caretakers of a graveyard or of something specific to do with burial rites. It's not permanent. It's sort of like much like Arya's woad. It's a thing that has to be like reapplied. But it's worn with pride by people of druidic and religious orders as sort of like I am a guardian of death sort of thing.
It's so edgy.
So edge.
It is a little bit edgy, yes.
Pretty cool, though.
At least they're not wearing it to just be edgy like me.
Yeah, you have literally no reason to wear woad other than it looks cool.
It brings out my eyes.
Oh my god.
She's kneeling in front of this gravestone and seems to be in thought or prayer.
I feel like we should disturb her.
I know. Should we wait for a moment to see if she kind of comes out of it on her
Probably
own?
a good idea.
Yeah, you can wait around for a few moments. Give me perception checks while you wait.
Okay.
Oh my god,
Okay.
V.
Nailed it.
Okay,
I've had some really good and some really bad perception checks.
V, you're just sort of like looking around a graveyard because you don't really understand graveyards.
What? What are these stones?
It's like, what's the point of having a graveyard?
God, wow. V doesn't understand two
No.
basic concepts.
Well, I think she probably understands the concept.
She-
of it,
she-
but just like
Yeah, she understands like the concept, but it's like, why would you leave a stone to remember them, sort of thing? Like, can't you just remember
why,
them?
Why group up all the dead?
Yeah.
Seems like a bad idea if there was a person who Raise
Yeah.
the dead for various purposes.
Oh, I'll just go to the local graveyard.
I mean, you just
Right?
the whole dryad thing of death is like, oh, you're dead. Now you're more plants. The cycle of life.
The circle of life.
Yeah.
They sing the circle.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
literally
someone
it is literally
dies.
that moment. It is grass growers, antelope eat the grass.
And then the antelope die and get
And-
more grass.
yeah, It's
or
that.
get eaten by a lion.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
lion
V
dies.
V and her people definitely are more sort of circle of life people. They don't mourn the dead in the same sense. I mean, it's still sad when somebody dies. It's just there's no point having a memorial to them because you just have memories.
Yeah.
But yes, TLDR. Kelariis, you sort of look around. You're sort of like a little bit uncomfortable waiting for this person. You're just sort of like standing here, just like standing in the middle of the graveyard, and it just like this must look super weird. You're like a little bit self-conscious. Arya and Vondal, you're sort of like looking around, taking in it like the beauty of the graveyard as a whole. When you both sort of like become you're focused on this person kneeling in front of the gravestone, and you look at the gravestone for the first time, and basically the inscription on the you both speak Elvish, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. The inscription on the gravestone is in Elvish, and it says Arturus Nerian, fondly remembered. So, draw from that what you will.
What?
Share the same last name.
Clearly a relative of some description.
Or a spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Well,
Uh,
spouse is a relative.
And after a few moments,
A spouse is relative? What does that mean?
Is a
Spouse
relative.
is a relative, as in.
Oh, a relative.
Oh my God.
I thought you said relative.
Spouse is relative.
Relatively speaking. It's like,
Only a
what?
spouse. Only a spouse. can
Relatively speaking, I am married to you.
have.
wow. But no, yes. Eventually, the figure stands up, turns to you, and says, "And you must be the adventurers that Archdruid Buck told me about." Yay or nay?
Indeed.
The woman extends a hand to you and says, "My name is Levithyl Nerian."
You want to ride that by me again? Because I didn't get that.
Levithyl Nerian.
A satyr.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Fucking hell.
Wow.
You got that drawing back from like 5 years.
Yes, I finally found it.
Wow, okay.
Ask me.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers her?
I do, vaguely.
I think I do. I'm
I
starting to
don't.
piece together where this is going, I think.
Yes.
I can't believe.
We're finally doing it. 'Cause I
I
fucking
don't
knew this
remember
was-
what this drawing is from. It's fine.
Remember that one
that
Wild
ages
Hunt
ago,
one
where we
shot
were
that
like,
we were gonna
that we
do
never
and then never
did.
did?
Yes. This is
So-
Helena's character, because
I
they
feel
asked...
like I was
Druid.
not a part of that.
You might not have.
One
been.
shot.
Yeah, I don't think he. I think it was meant to be like, oh no, Luka's not here. Let's do a
Yeah,
one-shot.
possibly. But yeah. This is Helena's character, because those characters, despite never having been played, are still part of the canon.
Oops.
Yeah. Somewhere around is everyone else's. Somewhere around here is someone else. Everyone else's character.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Quick, we need to find a flirty wood elf.
But yes. She greets you and introduces herself as Levithyl Nerian. And as Helena can probably assess, yes, that is the grave of her husband.
Yes. The grave of her human husband, who sadly died because humans age much faster than elves do.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
that's sad.
shit. That is really sad.
Yep, that's
It's not sad. She can talk to the dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
You don't
yeah.
know
Talk to her
that.
husband every day.
Yeah, but it's not this.
Aw.
I mean, I don't know. The
No.
physical intimacy is gone.
I'm getting all emotional now.
Yes, hence why she spends large periods of time in the graveyard during the day.
Wow, that's like terribly sad.
It's not.
No, it's still sad.
She's happy.
Ah,
I mean, she doesn't seem sad about it. This just seems perfectly normal to her.
but yeah, Vondal's going to just half bow, say, pleasure to meet you.
She sort of responds with a half bow and says, "And the same. I understand you have done great things in assisting in our research."
We've certainly done our best.
Yeah, she smiles and sort of says, "Wow, everything that can be done to combat the effects of this blight is certainly a welcome aid." And she sort of says, "Come, I have a few tasks to attend to before I head back to the circle, and no doubt you will want to accompany me." He says, "Please," and just sort of like leads the way out of the graveyard. But yes, you can talk and walk.
Walk and talk, I think, is the correct term. Just
Yeah,
Gonna
Ferrous,
just
jeez.
ignore that. Walk and talk.
Oh, fuck 'em.
Stubbornly
I don't know what to
refusing
talk about.
Well, do you have anything that you want to say or ask, or?
How did you know we were gonna be here today?
she didn't.
She
sent the letter
didn't.
that-
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
It was like send them to the wherever.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was,
Still-
"I'm in town for a couple of days. If you see them, let them know that I'm here."
Right.
Yeah.
It is mere coincidence.
Winkety.
Or
Indeed.
some would say it's fate.
Oh shit.
Do you believe in destiny?
God damn it.
I'm sorry, Jayla. I'm sorry.
So mad at you, Cap. I'm not talking to you for the rest of the day. Wow.
Sorry, please.
Carry on.
I don't know what to talk about, Roll.
Well, if you have nothing to talk about, then you have nothing to talk about.
It's just casual conversation. Hey, how's the weather?
Hey, how's your dead husband?
Shut up.
I hate you so much, Luke. I thought it was nice and romantic, and you're just like, oh, it's so sad.
No, it's sad because like, yeah,
It's not.
she can talk to him, but that's all she can do.
Well, technically,
So-
she can't
so-
like really speak to him in the conventional sense of speaking to him. She can speak to him through extended magic usage.
Also, Luka, maybe that's all she wants.
Yeah.
But it's also like terribly sad because now she's trapped forever in this town. Like if she wants to speak to her husband, she has to go to his grave, just to be there all the time.
Well, the druid circle where she is resident is literally only a day's walk away.
Yeah. Not that far.
I don't know. I don't think it's that romantic, but that's just me.
It is. It's very nice.
Anyway, the walk passes with idle conversation, and Assassus basically goes to several places in town and picks up a handful of packages and stows them in a large backpack. Mostly things that seem to be like packages of herbs, food and provisions, things like writing paper. Presumably just things that they don't make in the druid circle and they just import, and she's just here to do a pickup. But yeah, they pick up a number of things, and yeah, basically Assasa says, if you would rather stay here for the day, that's I understand, because presumably you've been travelling for the last couple of days. Otherwise, we can basically get moving as soon as you wish.
I'm fine with moving.
Okay. Well, in that case, you guys depart from Simmandel. And I believe you can make it... Yeah, you can just about make it by the end of the day. Yeah. Oh, that's one thing... That is one thing Lasessa says. She says, I presume you arrived by horse, which of course you answer yes. She says, I would recommend leaving your horses here in the care of the stables and walking, because the path to the Druid Circle is not well kept. It is not suitable terrain for horses. It is much easier to walk.
Alright.
Actually, it probably takes you, because you're on foot as well, it probably takes you about 2 days. No, it doesn't take you 2 days. It takes you a day, sorry. So...
Don't slow me down.
I guess, for logic's sake, we'll say you stay at the inn, so if everybody deducts a gold, and then you can travel there in a day. Because actually, technically, I suppose, the Druid Circle isn't really there, it's there, but it's just hard to see, so actually we'll put it on the edge. Yes, cool. So, you guys... travel. And... what's a good theme to play? Probably this one? Yes, this is good. Okay. Yeah, you guys travel for the day. I don't want to drag. Can you move the party token for me? Because I can't drag it out. Okay, thank you. And you arrive.
Oh my god.
Hang on, is this World of Warcraft?
It is World of Warcraft art, yes. It's the closest thing I could find to what I wanted that didn't have a bunch of shirtless men in the foreground.
Why are you not including shirtless men?
Because it was mostly a picture of shirtless men and not of scenery.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Yeah, keyword there was foreground.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
probably...
Luka,
Yeah, it's not quite as purple, but it is suitably wooded. And yeah, basically you arrive at a very, very old stone structure that is basically smack bang in the middle of the thick part of the forest. And yes, Lasastus basically introduces you to a handful of druids before leading you to basically a workshop that she has clearly been set up in for a couple of days. And she says, yes, now that we're here, we can sort of get down to business. I assume you have the documents that Archduke Buck told me about.
Yes, we do. So I guess
Hand them over.
Pull them out. Yeah, pull them out and hand them over.
Okay. Yeah, let's just pause through them for a couple of minutes and sort of says, yes, this is sort of exactly what we've been looking for to finish mapping the points.
Did we bring the blood sample?
Yes, you did. Yeah, the blood sample and the note, sealed note.
Blood sample, my friend.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
It's fine.
Casual, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it is to try and cure her of a magical
Yeah,
disease.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a thing.
Who knew
But yeah,
that they had ways to process blood back in the day.
Magic.
yeah,
Magic.
literally magic. But it's probably more to do with the fact that the blood is the easiest thing to transport that has the material in without like carving a chunk out of her arm.
Jesus Christ!
I mean, you don't want to do that. That's why you've got the blood.
I know.
Yes. In response to the notes, Thassasis mentions that basically, like now that she has this, basically, she estimates within the space of a week or so, she can probably like have the map finalized, at least a simple version of it, that would be of use to you guys. Yeah, she basically mentions that like when this map is finished, we'll have an accurate mapping of all of the location points, which will be useful to the Druid Circle in finding more evidence of blighted areas and isolating them and getting them beginning to treat them. But for you guys, it will also be a map of perhaps trying to find where this all started. So that will be information that you guys can use. As you give her the sealed note, Lysatis opens the sealed note and reads very intensely for a few minutes before looking up and looking at all of you. I'd like everybody to make me a perception check, except for V, who I would like you to make me an insight check.
Okay. Aha!
Okay. Okay, so, Kelariis, you notice that when Lysatis looks up from this note, her gaze lingers on V for a moment, and I'd like you to make me an insight check.
Okay.
Nope. Okay, so only V notices this. Lysatis fixes you with a look, and her brow furrows as if she is concerned and somewhat wary.
I guess he sort of nervously sort of looks around and just goes, something the matter?
Yeah. Lysatis sort of, she folds up the letter and says, perhaps it is something best said in private.
Okay. I hand over LON.
Oh my god.
Kelariis.
Okay.
Fuck me.
Private.
Yeah.
Private.
Private.
Yeah.
Lysatis thinks nothing of this.
Wow.
She doesn't.
She just treats it like it's perfectly normal.
Of course she does. She's a druid.
Fucking
Yeah, I'll follow Lysatis.
Yeah, okay, so she sort of like takes you aside for a moment, as I will take you aside. Hello. Yeah, Lysatis takes you aside for a moment and basically says, how much did Buck mention to you about his theory?
He said that the blighted places usually, well, almost all of them, they had some sort of bad thing happen there, or there was history of violence?
Yes, that's what he said. With the exception of your grove.
Except where I come from, my grove. That's what he said.
Lysatis looks like uncomfortable, as if she's trying to decide the right words to use to say what she says next. And she says, yes, about that. Archduke Buck has a second part to the theory. He believes that your grove may have been infiltrated by an agent of this figure. Buck believes that from analysis of what he's been told by Neve, I believe, that the grove must have been infiltrated perhaps maybe somewhere around 20 years ago. And he fears from what he's been told that the person who infiltrated your grove may have been, well, most definitely has been was close to the Dryads, and his theory is that it may have been one of their consorts.
I see. I wasn't born 20 years ago, so I wouldn't know who it was.
As you say that, sort of the Satis sort of almost grimaces slightly. And yeah, she basically says, yes, that is what Archdruid Buck is concerned about.
What do you mean?
There are, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 members of your family born roughly around that time.
Yes, me, Neve, and Xanthe.
Again, she sort of searches for the right words, and she says, Buck believes that... how to put this? The most trusted consorts of any dryads are the one they choose to share a special bond with. If Buck's suspicions are correct, a child born of a union such as that would exhibit abilities unlike those of regular dryads.
Like...
Like...
I don't think Neve or Xanthe are different. I just have these visions sometimes, but I don't think... I don't...
This also sort of like looks at you with a sort of look, because she's not quite sure how you're feeling.
I mean, my mother is a very smart person. I don't think she would trust someone who would do such a thing as poison our grove.
At this point, sort of, Lysasis puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Nothing is certain. This is, after all, just a theory, but it's possible that it may not have happened knowingly. The deceiver is likely to have been somebody who was capable of keeping up a facade through magic or some other means."
And if I've had magic, it's because of him.
Like I said, nothing is certain. It's just a theory. But it is possible. I felt like you should know.
He doesn't really know what to say.
That's okay, because Lysasis doesn't really know what to say either. She sort of stands up and says, I'm hoping that through a little research I might be able to find out some more. Try not to dwell on this too much.
Okay, I understand.
And she leads you back.
Okay.
He still doesn't make any sense.
Whatever. Hi.
We're back.
Hi.
I can tell.
You just missed a rousing debate about measurements.
Okay.
See.
Imperial measurements and date systems.
Yep.
Okay.
How was your conversation?
Troubling.
Yeah, Lysasis
okay.
returns with a serious look on her face, and V seems to be deep in thought.
I don't know what to say because, like,
Yeah.
it was a private conversation.
No, nobody does. But Lysasis breaks the silence with, yes, I'm afraid until I have completed my research, I have very little that can actually directly help you, other than you're welcome to use the facilities here or check through any of my research to find things that might help. I can answer any questions that you might have, but I hope this isn't too much of an imposition, but I may have a task that you can help with whilst you're here.
What would that involve?
And that is where we will leave it.
Just kidding.
Cliffhanger!
What would
Cliffhanger.
that involve? Screen fades to black.
Yes.
To be continued.
To be continued, yes.
Yeah.
See you, Space Cowboy. Okay, so we shall have a wind down. Who would like to be
How
volunteer?
soon do you need to go?
Yes, that is the question.
Yeah.
In 3 minutes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, go quickly.
That was a long
I don't have
conversation.
3 minutes. But anyway, okay, so as a player, sticking to classic like game mechanics usage, God, nature check your bad guys.
Yep.
Look for those weaknesses.
Yes.
That shit's useful.
Looking for weaknesses is handy.
Find those weaknesses with those nature checks. But yeah, because geez, those fights
Yeah.
went really fucking well, all things considered.
Yes.
Also, Kelariis is still OP, but that's never.
I will say
Yeah,
you
also enable her.
Shit out of me.
you
We're
guys
doing
were very, very lucky that you opened with Smite, because if you hadn't opened with Smite and it would have been around without it, he would have just regenerated his full health bar, and you would have been like, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
Shit.
But yeah. And then, as a character, let's just say that was quite the bonding moment. Quite a few bonding moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Vondal is like, he's like massively violating that classic dwarven saying.
Yes.
He
He's
has
becoming
made some
attached
friends
to
in the
people.
spaces of a few months. So much for the saying of the difference between a friend and an acquaintance is several decades.
Yes.
That's gone out the window. To him,
Well, when one of our
feels like
friends
it's
only
been
lives
several
for several
decades.
decades.
it feels like
True.
he spent several decades with worth of memories with them, and it's only been a few months.
Yeah.
So he's kind of attached.
Yeah.
And honestly, he doesn't know if that's a good thing or not.
For somebody who didn't like getting attached, you spent an awful lot of time getting attached.
Exactly.
Cool. I actually need to do some maths to tell you guys how much experience you got for this session.
D&D math.
So yes, you will have your experience when I've calculated it, but who else wants to go?
Yeah, I don't know. Sort of forgotten all the things we did today. Instantly.
We did a
Yeah.
lot of things today.
We did a lot of things. Seeing Neve was fun. I like Neve. Always want to talk to her and sort of feel like, yeah, Dryads! And talk about how weird other people are. Who aren't Dryads.
Wow.
The battles were... They went okay. At some points I was just like, fuck. This could go really wrong if this, if the big ape guy jumped on me, hit me, and knocked me out of concentration. That would have
Yes.
really fucking sucked. Both for me and for Kelariis, because Kelariis would have just dropped for a turn, right?
Yes.
It's always the problem with haste.
That's
Don't
fine.
hit me, please. And my constitution saves aren't that.
Well, he was an interesting fight to do because he was basically like, the moment he took damage, he would rage, and the moment he dropped below half HP, he would use the most attacks. He would use half the, because he had 5 attacks. He would use 3 of his attacks on the people who had done the most damage to him, and then he would try and move to a different group and use the other remaining attacks.
Lol, and I was the different because I was
Yes.
by myself. Interesting. But yeah, and Kelariis' dream. I'm sad. Sometimes the wisdom failures do still happen.
Okay.
And yeah, the thing at the end.
Oh wait, hold on, that's not quite right.
No.
Yeah, sorry, carry on talking.
Yeah, the thing at the end was kind of like, oh boy. Oh boy.
Yes, you'll have to tell people about that later.
Yeah, V is not happy about what she heard. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Yeah, I don't think I've learned much. I guess the sort of battle with the big ape was interesting to play because again we needed radiant damage and I was like, I'm gonna cast a spell. Oh wait, douche.
Yes.
And then I just sort of resorted to whacking with my big stick.
It's a shame
mean,
Arya didn't
sometimes
succeed
it
that
really-
nature check because you would have found its other weakness, which might have been more useful.
no.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Of course, as a player, for the first time ever, I had player knowledge of a monster that I didn't have as character knowledge.
Yes.
I was like, that's a ghoul. He can
Your first time
paralyze
GM.
people if he attacks you.
Yes. The interesting thing was, he couldn't. The only person in the party he couldn't paralyze was Luka,
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah, but-
elves are immune to the paralysis of ghouls
Really?
for
Oh,
really
yeah, that's
for really
true.
convoluted lore reasons.
Yeah, it's. I remember seeing that
But
actually. 'cause
would
it's like,
V
if
also
if you're not an elf or a ghoul, or an undead, then fuck you.
I would have given V advantage for lore reasons, but
Right, because she's half elf.
yes, in theory.
Hi.
In theory. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. Somebody else go.
Yes, the two of you who've already been.
Rip Cav!
Oh, Rip Cav. God damn it, I tried.
We loved him.
He gets
Sometimes I can still
1,118
hear his
experience. so-
Shit, me.
How much do I get, Rob? Thank you.
You all get 1,118.
Okay. What is the threshold for level 7?
I will find out whilst the next person tells me.
22,000, I think.
So, Jayla, are you on 22,900?
I have to do math, but
Okay.
You,
I don't think so because you and
yeah, you and V got
Helena
extra
don't
experience,
have-
remember?
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah. So did I say no?
Okay. Good to know.
It's fine.
Well, why everyone does math.
23,000 is level 7.
Oh, guys, I
Oh,
dinged.
I haven't
Oh
dinged.
shit!
I dinged.
I think you all ding.
I don't
No.
ding.
I dinged.
I do not ding.
I'm
If
the
it's
only one who
23,000, I don't ding.
How much are you guys missing then?
Like 200.
Like 1,000.
Oh, shit.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm at 23,124.
Well, looks like it'll be next session you guys ding then. Except for one of you. No, I know. I'm talking to the others.
This is so awkward.
Elena's dinging. No
Yeah,
one
get
else
Storm
does.
Sphere next session. Be
Ding
happy.
that bell.
Yeah.
Ding.
Anyway, everyone does math. I'll go. as a player, I've learned that boosting Kelariis is the best way to go because she's just like wailing damage down the heaven with her fucking sword. And I thought we worked really well as a team during that fight, and we like didn't just charge in. And I am saying that directly to me.
Yep.
Instead,
Yeah, you
like,
ran away from a fight.
I ran away for the first time, like, ever, I think. Except maybe the troll. And that was a bit different. And I ran away, and I fell back to my teammates, and I was like, hey, help me. And they helped me. So, but yeah, that gorilla fight was very impressive.
Yes.
Surprised we managed to get through that without all dying.
Yes.
We took minimal damage.
And that will lead you on to your character revelation.
Yes, so Arya now knows that the Chimera can fucking die, which
It
is
can be
exciting.
killed.
We just need enough radiant damage, and we
Yes.
can kill it. But yeah, that was pretty exciting for Arya. She didn't really say anything at the time. Quietly, she was like, "Oh my god, we can finally beat this thing."
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, she's still. This dream stuff is still like freaking her out. Like, it's still really weird. And it's also like very. It's ominous, even if it's not really scary anymore, because she's like seeing all these terrifying visions of like these armies of these monstrosities, which is not comforting.
No. But you also know that they're illusions, which is the key difference.
Yeah.
They're not real.
They're not real, but still not
Because
great.
to everybody else, they still feel real.
Yeah. And she's actually wondering if she should say something to the others, because after Kelariis's episode, she feels bad because it doesn't affect her in the same way as it does the others. So she's like, well, if I take it every night, then it doesn't even matter. So that's something she's thinking about.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's about it.
Cool. Yeah, you have your 1,108 experience.
Thanks. I still don't ding.
No. Last but not least.
Well, I guess as a player, I'll start with as a player. Being hasted is kind of amazing.
Yes.
Not gonna lie. Also, the boost AC was like awesome. That felt really nice.
Powered up, get in there.
I was so powered up, and I was ready.
Well, the best part about it was basically when you were at 22 AC, the Giralan could only hit you with a crit.
Wow.
Which is why he tried to grapple you.
Fair enough. It's okay, guys. I'm good at athletics most of the time. Sort of. Yeah, no, being hasted is an interesting experience. I like it. It's a lot of power, and sometimes I don't know what to do with that. But that's fine. Just hit stuff.
Yep.
With smite.
Well, the repeated smiting was especially good against the Giralan because, of course, it was the one thing that was burning down his maximum HP.
Right. Which was good to have. Also, Crusader's Mantle with that good +1
seriously.
D4. Because I rolled shit a couple of times on that. But yeah, that was interesting, and that was an interesting fight in the sense that it's like we kept downing it, quote unquote.
Yes.
But it just wouldn't die till we destroyed its max HP, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, I guess as Kelariis, that probably felt pretty good too, because that's just extra. Like, she always feels pretty strong, and stuff. But that was probably just like an extra boost of I can go for ages.
I am justice.
I am justice. So yeah, that was probably good for her. But on the flip side, that Wraith Shard Dagger dream was oh boy.
Yep. Once again, I'll say it for purposes of camera. I had to completely improv that because I actually hadn't got a pre-prepared thing for any of the dreams. So that went well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was probably not what she was expecting to be faced with. Not that you really expect anything from the Wraith Shard dreams, nightmares.
No.
But that was definitely not it. Yeah, that was an interesting experience. Probably will sit in the back of her mind for a very long time.
Yes.
So.
The temptation to just give up and go home right now is probably pretty strong.
Yeah, a little bit. Probably more in the sense that she really wants to make sure that, like, her family and the people that she cares
Yes.
about are okay. So, but she knows that going home wouldn't solve the problem, so that's almost worse.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, fun times. Also, I was like, as a player, was kind of horrified by the end of that, but
Nice.
that's just because that was not a nice image at all.
No.
But yeah.
Cool. Wow.
As a side note, Rob, thanks for the seashells.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that was probably like a completely random encounter that you rolled, but I'm just like, nice.
Yes, it was a totally random encounter.
Do we know what the seashells do out of character?
They're pretty.
Do
They
they do
don't
anything?
do anything.
They're just really
Oh, they're just pretty. Okay.
It's
Yes.
just like some sort of fairy, just like like,
Well,
I don't know, taking some money.
yes. I'll tell you out of character because it will probably never come up again, and I'd like the audience to know. Essentially, what happened is the big tree that you noticed before that you didn't know anything about, and it was just a big tree, is actually a home for not sprites. What are they? The timid version of sprites. I think they might just be called fairies. Yeah, it's basically home to fairies who basically just go invisible and hide from you guys when you were around. But when you went to sleep underneath it, they came out and they what I was seeing was sort of like flickers of them like darting around and talking to each other. And they looked through all of your belongings, found the shiny things in V's bag, and decided to trade some of their shiny things for some of her shiny things. So they are seashells from the Feywild.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Ah, see, this was a perfectly legitimate trade if I had been awake, but I'm okay with this.
But they didn't know if you were nice
You
or
would've
not,
been like,
so they just
"Yeah."
hid.
I am nice.
But
I
they didn't
even
know.
said hi to their tree and stuff.
Yes,
How
Still.
good is big tree?
but you've got scary friends.
It's true.
Oh.
Yeah. He's a fucking dragon.
Yeah.
Hey now. I'm soft, even if I am tough.
And where?
It
Don't answer that.
was literally they had.
Oh
Wow.
god.
You literally approached their tree with a dragon, a tiny angry metal man, and a woman with a wolf. It's pretty terrifying if you're literally a foot high.
That's fair. Tiny angry metal
Amazing.
man.
I loved it.
Yes. So that was what happened. Yeah. And with that
Also
revelation...
Lysatus.
Oh yes, and Lysatus, yes. Bringing in canon from other sessions that never
know.
happened.
I-
Yeah, that
I've-
never happened.
You were constantly referring to her as like Archduke Narian, and I was
Yes.
sort of like, I was like, I thought that was at first I thought that it was a dude, and so I was just like, yeah, whatever.
No.
And it was like when you sort of
I
said,
tried to be as ambiguous as possible.
yeah, and like I didn't catch, I must have not caught it when you said like, oh yeah, they're like a pro like undead.
Yes.
But like when we started like actually reaching the village, and they were just like, oh yeah, they're hanging out in the graveyard, I was like, hold the fuck up.
Yes.
Because I know Rob had asked me before, like, if you could sort of take my old player character
Yes.
to put back into second edition. I was like, sure, do whatever you want. So I
Yes.
knew Lysatus was gonna show up, but I didn't think she was the fucking archdruid.
Yes. Well, I needed an expert in the undead, and seeing as we already had one that was a fully built character, I figured why not?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. with those revelations, that is the end of our session.
See ya.
So yes, we will see you next time with a hopefully slightly more regular session. Hooray! Now that we're not like
Hopefully.
running
Touch
around
wood.
doing everything.
Yeah, please, everyone touch some wood
No, Luka.
right now.
No.
What?
You said to touch your. You were about to say touch.
Oh, I touch your wood right now. This is the time.
Okay, we're ending. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh